One more time, promote yourselves, people.
You already know, it's Tronz the producer. You can follow me at twitter.com/Tronz the producer.
Yes.
Feezy, jazzfeezy.com, Twitter at jazzfeezy.
Follow me at JMacBeats. Once again, I told y'all, jacking dudes, I ain't got no sound click, and I'm dead serious.
On average, if you have an artist that you're actually working with exclusively, on average, how long would it take for them to actually finish whatever project it is that you're working with?
It honestly depends on the artist, you know, what he feels is to his perfection. You know what I mean? Because it could take weeks, it could take months. Like we all know those artists that could do a mixtape in like 1 week,
right,
without no quality. You know what I'm saying? So really, time is an essence. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So. Yeah, man, it's all about quality. So it depends. It really depends on the artist and the producer with the type of bond they have.
I think when people tweet when they're in the studio, and then you don't see the same tweet for about 4 or 5 months, yeah, it's pretty much accurate. but I mean, it's all about how hungry the artist is, and obviously budget does come into play. They might be able to, like, if we're close to someone, we might be able to give them the beat as, okay, let's see what you can do.
Right.
But if they don't go in the studio and perform it so we can hear the demos back, what are we to say?
You're just speaking about songwriting. How important is it for you to have a good songwriter towards the beat that you're trying to craft? Okay?
Very important, no doubt. Especially if you're trying to shop beats
right,
as a package in the industry too, like let's say Trey songs, blah blah blah.
Right.
It's very important, you know what I mean?
I'd say if the songwriter doesn't do the song justice, it could actually sabotage the beat itself. Because if, let's say, the record's talking about, like, I don't know, Hitler back and like Nazis and like really bad, like terrible stereotypical stuff,
right,
no one's gonna hear that record. Like the A&R or whoever's gonna hear it be like, what the hell? What kind of racist shit is this? And just be like, you know what I mean? So it all, like, yeah, songwriting is important, and they have to actually know what to do. Like, you don't want like too much, like, how do I put this? If the lyrics are too like, I'm going to school, oh boy, I'm a fool. Like, it's gonna be so terrible, right? So songwriting is everything.
In terms of the artists, when you're working with them, sometimes, you know, they buy a beat, they make a song, they rap over it, whatever they do. Because of the mixing or the flow, the way it goes, sometimes it may not turn out the way you expected it to be. You confront the artist on it and be like, yo, get off that beat, don't even bother using it. What do you do in that situation?
Some people might catch some feelings, bro. That's when you just gotta, to be honest, not promote for the track as much as I can choose. You know what I'm saying?
Zero retweets.
Or you just got, every time you bump that track, you like, ooh, J-Mac, and you hear the beat, you're like, let me fast forward the hard body. Let me show the team, this hard body's been nasty. You know, something like that.
But to interject, it's not always the artist's fault if the engineer doesn't know what they're doing, or if they got like, just like, oh, my boy did it kind of thing, and it doesn't actually have like, he doesn't need like an SSL console or anything crazy. If he just doesn't have the knowledge to tweak a kick drum in the right frequency and all that, again, what can you really say?
Earlier, Tronz was talking about the whole shopping of, you know, a whole bunch of beats to an artist. How does that, like, how do you go about that process? Because, you know, an artist giving something to a DJ, let's say do a DJ pack. So for you giving it to an artist specifically, how do you go about that whole process?
Many different ways. You may know someone who knows someone, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's just all about having faith and just believing, you know what I'm saying? At the same time, it's all about you networking, you know, taking that extra step, you know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, Twitter. Twitter's a very powerful social networking tool. Like, you can reach out to, like, so many people, you know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, Meek Mill got signed just by tweeting Rick Ross his music, you know what I'm saying? So there's many different ways, you know, you can't run through all of them, but that's all I'm saying. Snippets,
tag. For y'all jackers out there. Yeah, man, I just be sending snippets, and then like really like what happens is they really do contact, like figure out the ones that they want, and then they do contact back. You know what I'm saying? That's really the best way to do it. And to be honest, nowadays I don't even be feeling like sending snippets. No homo. But like, Skype is a deadly weapon. You know what I'm saying? Like you just show your screen or whatever. There's nothing wrong with. I hope some males don't feel like I'm asking y'all on some homo date when I say, yo, can you give me a Skype, bro? Like, you know what I'm saying? Just to show you some beats or whatever. Skype is a deadly weapon, man. Rappers, really. If you really want to get personal with your producers and hear what you really want to hear, get Skype. For real.
Jazzy, if you haven't worked with one already, who would be one of the producers you'd like to work with?
Oh, easy. Timberland, Dr. Dre, and I don't know who else. DJ Khalil is crazy. He
Yeah,
had four of those records on Recovery.
Right.
That guy is so nasty on the records.
Feezy, of course, you've worked with T-Minus, you've also worked with Boy Wonder. How did that whole apprenticeship, I guess, working with them, how did it all initiate?
Clearly didn't have Twitter. I think Facebook was just being created, but back then it was like MSN Messenger was like at its like peak.
Oh, yeah.
Like MSN was like what BBM and everything else was, right? So back in the MSN days, it was Bow. What is it? Bow the Beatmakers too. I hit him up and he said, "Why don't you come out to the third one?"
Right.
I came out. He won that one, and then I'm just like, "Yo, here's some of my records."
Okay.
He listened. We said, "Yo, let's collab." So then he brought me out to Ajax. I went up there from Barry.
Right.
It took me like 3.5 hours, and I remember back then when I was 18, I was like 3.5 hours to get here, man. That's insane.
Yeah.
So and that's when before Minus was Minus, he was like Bags back then.
Okay.
So I met like Tyler, Bag, Williams, and then ever since then from '06, I just kept that network strong. Like I always been talking to them every week, just calling them, emailing them, being like, "Yo, this is what I'm working on," and move forward to now. I mean, look at those guys and where they are now.
In terms of one key thing, I guess, from each of them, what would you say you learned from?
Wonder your drums can always be harder. There's no such thing as too hard, because he's always tweaking the heck out of stuff. Just when I think like, oh man, like those drums are like they're peaking, and he just makes them sound louder. He's just, I don't know. I guess it's just something in his brain just like configures that stuff can always be louder. And Minus is like the perfectionist. He would be like our times like Picasso, like when it comes to like production.
Of course, Tronz, you're only 17, but you're making beats that are getting a lot of reactions on a positive scale. What do you think that you've done to actually set your skills apart from everybody else that's really giving you all this attention?
Just be patient, just listen. That's really there is to it. Just listen, Just listen to what other producers don't have, you know what I'm saying? That they don't have in their beats.
Okay.
That's all. That's basically my theory.
Of course, Mac, on the other day on Twitter, you said, "Still can't believe I worked with that person. Every time I hear that person's voice on my beat, I can't believe it's true." Who are you speaking of? Is it someone you can speak of?
It kills me because I remember growing up, man, the first album I bought was Mr. Don't Play That by Project Pat. That was the very, very first album I bought. I slapped that album out. My sister even know all the lyrics to all them songs.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? And I can't believe I work with Project Pat. You know what I'm saying? This guy, it kills me. The weirdest part is like when you realize all those hours you put into that beat, the way you sequenced it, the way he's delivering on it, it's like, dang. I wonder if he I want to see his reaction when he was recording that beat. Yeah. I wish I was there in the studio with him, you know what I'm saying? Just stuff like that, but I'm real blessed. Like I can't say too much more.
Feezy, coming back to you, in 2010, I believe it was when you released the mixtape, presenting Just Feezy Presents Unveiling the Rapture. You also had production from T-Minus and Boy Wonder on there.
Yeah.
Now, of course, what made you decide to release such a project at that time, and how do you think that putting this project out enhanced your profile?
Shock Value 1 was like my biggest thing back then. And it just is like, yo, you know what? I'm an up and coming guy. What better thing to do than just get like a whole collaboration of artists on my records, collab with people that are already in the industry to get myself out there. Now, it was expensive as hell. I put up like probably around like 13,000 when everything finished. Wow. And I was working at the bank, so every single dollar I made went into the project. Okay. But it made me realize like the whole process. Right. Because I was the one that was paying for the recording time, and then artists wouldn't show up. I was the one that was paying for the mixing and master. Engineer wasn't doing it. So you find out everything. I guess it was like the darkest period of my life going through that album. But then I understood like how it works then. Okay. Because remember, if you're young and you're just giving money to people, the guy's made a deal. He's like, yo, why don't you give me up, $3,000 up front? I'll mix and master everything. I'm thinking that's the deal of a lifetime. Yeah. Because he's dropping me unrealistic numbers that when you're young, you go, yeah, it's true.
2012, man, we're here. Which tracks do you think, or do you have any anticipation for any tracks out there that are gonna be summer bangers? I mean, we're in spring going into summer, so any tracks out there that you think are going to be hitting, or what tracks are you purposely working on to make sure that it's summertime we'll be listening to?
Tronz just told me, we were at the Diamond Factory the other day, they just finished the, what is it, Money Made Me Do It, A-Game featuring Lou Breeze.
Right.
I already know that's going to be crazy.
That just dropped today, I believe.
Yeah, that's going to be, everyone's going to be singing that one. So
Okay.
there's one.
Alright.
This next record that I got with Feezy called Red Cups, we're still trying to figure out what we want to do with it.
Okay.
It could be another one. We're just trying to figure out exactly how we want to finish it off.
Okay.
I got a couple records that me and Devin Tracy, that's my go-to guy I'm always working with.
Right.
And there's a record that me and Jordan Lewis did for Jordan.
Okay.
It's called King. We're just trying to figure out how we're going to rework that.
Right.
So, I mean, we'll just have to wait and see.
3 letters.
3 letters.
AOA. Feezy.
Okay.
Trying to work on, right now I'm working on something. Actually, man, not even working. This we've been sitting on this beat for a while. Waiting for Lou Breeze to holler back.
Okay.
Another thing, another word, True Colors.
Okay.
Hard Body, that's it.
Okay.
I'm really looking forward to that track. I can't wait till everybody hear that.
With every ounce of my love.